Warning. This podcast may contain spoilers from whatever TV show or movie is mentioned. Please listen at your own discretion. Welcome to Viewers Anonymous.
Yo, what's going on? I am Scoots Bronson.
And I am S. Foster.
That's right. You're tuned into another episode of the Viewers Anonymous podcast where we give you our very own reviews and takes of movies and TV straight out of Hollywood. What's going on with you, my guy?
Man, another day in the lab, man. But other than that, man, I can't call it. Just out here trying to survive, man. Had a birthday party, you know what I'm saying, for my oldest. Remember I said on the other
Happy
pod.
belated. Yep. Happy
Yeah,
belated.
yeah. So we had them a little get together, man. And, everything didn't go according to plan, but he had a good time though. He ended up leaving his own party, by the way.
I respect it. I respect it. Is it Tay or Jacoby?
It was Tay.
Okay, Tay, yeah. That's what's up.
But nah, this weekend. Yeah, it was a very eventful weekend. But other than that though, man, I'm doing all right, man. Back at work and get my ass whooped. But how about you, man? How you feeling?
Hey man, I'm feeling good, feeling great, man. I don't have no complaints. Man, I've been, streaming these video games like crazy, bro. Trying to get in, in this content bag for real, outside of the pod. So, just trying to get stuff acclimated, get stuff going. I don't know if I probably did tell you because we talk about shit all the time, but we doing me and my little cousins is doing like a content collective called ING. So we working on, like building the brand and doing all that other shit outside of what we already doing. And since, I was already doing podcasting and videos and stuff like that, they like, man, let's go ahead and, we all just come together and, do our own thing. So y'all actually be on the lookout, make sure y'all keep, eyes on all my socials because there's about to be a whole bunch of stuff coming soon. Immaculate Bro stuff, gaming stuff, skits, all that kind of stuff, man. We about to really be like doing some stuff here soon. So y'all keep your eyes open for that.
That's what's up, man. Well, I love everything that y'all doing, man. Like,
yeah, I appreciate it.
We had the conversation about, I was just like, man, like you got like a whole family of like entrepreneurs, like, what I'm saying? Y'all all dabble in shit. Y'all all doing active things. And it's like, man, it's a great thing to see, man, that y'all got this family affair of doing all of these things, man. That's dope.
Man. I appreciate it, man. I mean, it's truthfully, you already know this is something we've been doing since we've been really like young. Like I told you the story when I was in high school. I used to have them on camera, playing in an air rock band or whatever, and we would just be record. I would record them, like in the rock band playing songs and stuff. And then they took that and start making their own videos and doing their own thing. And then, eventually it just kind of came to this, So for me, dabbling with videos and playing around with, content and doing stuff early before I even knew what it was. Since middle school, it ended up passing down to them. And they built it into something greater. And so, we just trying to make sure that, we really build something, man. Because especially with what we do, it's a little bit, compared to everything, it's a little bit easier because this is something that we have a real blueprint on. Like, we got people that we done listened to and watched and, not necessarily imitating them, but we can kind of go off of what they do and we can, kind of step into this lane and do what we've been doing. We've been doing this since what, 2017, 2016. This is almost 6-7 years in the making. With what we've been doing is a little bit harder because it's like it's constantly changing. Like back in the day, it really wasn't an easy thing to get on, and it really wasn't an easy thing to know what was going on. But like I still got videos on YouTube from 2008, 2007. You know what I'm saying? Of just me doing just random stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm still doing the Soldier Boy Crank That challenge on there. So maybe one day I'll pull that up for the for the viewers. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's still stuff like that on there that I like that I recorded and uploaded and that type stuff. So Yeah, this is something I've been doing for a long, long time, man. And finally, I've found the right way to do everything. And this is like podcasting. You know what I'm saying? And podcasting with you and like everything has really been super helpful because it's like I've found the lane to really get my creativity out. But like this is just on a totally different level. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this is gonna be super, super dope, man. Plus it's always something I always wanted to do anyway. I always wanted to stream video games. You know how I am about playing video games anyway, so
Yep.
you know what I'm saying. Um, but you know what I'm saying, getting off of that, man, we got to get into one of our favorite segments. You know what I'm saying? This is something that, we do where we give you guys extra tidbits and extra little pieces of content, you know what I'm saying, outside of the, episodes that we cover. We like to I can't talk. We like to call this what we watching. You ready, bro?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
What we watching?
What we watching?
All right, man. So what do you got for us this week, my brother?
All right, man. Listen, I got both of them they're both new material.
Mm-hmm.
One just came out on Hulu and one came out in the movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gotta start with this one that I found on Hulu. So I'm like, man, I see the trailer. I'm trying to like, it look alright. I said, let me give it a shot. I haven't really watched, a bunch of new material as of late.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give this movie a shot. So it's a new movie just came out on Hulu, and it's called No One Will Save You.
Oh,
Yo,
I already know
you
it's
want to
fire.
talk about a waste of my motherfucking time?
No,
This might be the dumbest movie.
what?
Yo, listen, the trailer will deceive you, my
Oh,
guy.
don't say that, bro.
Yo, you want to talk about the most basic fucking alien invasion movie you ever gonna find is
Oh
this one.
man, don't
Then
say that.
they got the old typical aliens too with the head and
Yeah.
like it's like it's like they took every image of aliens that we had in the 90s and just threw them in this movie. They didn't redo no makeup on them or nothing. It's like they just reused them motherfuckers.
Right.
And it was just like all it was like they ended up like coming down to this town, but they was really fucking with this one girl. And apparently this one girl, she killed this girl, and I'm thinking maybe she was not charged as an adult because
Mm-hmm.
like now she's back in the town and nobody fucked with her
Okay.
because of the girl. She ended up running into that girl's parents at the police station when she was trying to tell them some shit went down to her house, and the lady spit in the face. But like all it was so like they beamed themselves down into this girl's house and she fucking beat their ass. Not beat their ass, but like she ended up like killing one of them. And dude, it's okay. I tell you this, it's it's really probably one of the lamest alien movies I've ever seen. Like you know how everybody was like all on Signs.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought, you know what? They look kind of like the aliens from the Signs movie.
Yeah.
I always thought Signs was just mediocre, but like they put Signs on this pedestal for some odd reason. I don't know why.
I
I
think it's
thought
more so
Signs
for the
was just
story than it was more so than the actual aliens. Because the aliens in Sign was they was kind of different, but it wasn't like you barely seen them, so it wasn't like anything too, you know what I'm saying, up there. But I think it was more so like the writing in the story was what everybody talks about with Signs. At least I
and
think so.
yeah, and I'm gonna put it like this: this movie is really a one person show.
Mm.
It's just the girl, and I don't know who she is. I think probably the biggest issue, like, listen, I mean, she wasn't terrible. Don't get me wrong. But I think that when there's a movie where it's basically based on one person, like Castaway, like it's Castaway is Tom Hanks. You know what I mean? Tom Hanks makes the movie. Tom Hanks can carry a movie by himself. I just don't feel like this girl was good enough to carry a movie by herself.
Okay.
And like what ended up happening was it was just, let's just say, the way that they ended up taking over this town is how we all expect them to do that to us.
Right.
Basically, just control our minds. Basically,
Yeah.
like that's really how the movie ended up ending. But it was, first of all, I put one of your moves, which I really never do that.
Mm-hmm.
I fell asleep for like 15 minutes.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and
Okay.
I was just like this shit is just like, man, I'm sorry. I mean,
That's
look.
not a good thing.
I mean, look. You can watch it. You know what I'm
No,
saying? You
I
can.
gotta watch it. You know, I gotta watch
But
it.
it's just I just didn't think, I just did not think it was good. And
Mm-hmm.
so the other movie I watched just dropped this Friday. You know what I'm saying, The Exorcist Believer.
Okay.
And for what the hype and for what I thought it was gonna be, I mean, it was like, to be honest with you, like I was all hyped for it. I was thinking Linda Blair was gonna have a bigger role.
Mm-hmm.
But we only see her for 5 seconds at the end of the movie because
Oh,
the old lady was her mom from The
right.
Exorcist.
Right.
That's who the old lady is. And so she comes and, well, actually, Leslie Odom reached out to her, but it was just like, my issue with it was I was hoping that the writing would have been a little better,
Mm-hmm.
but I felt like the story that they came up with, it was just like, I'm not gonna call it lazy.
Right.
It was just more of like expecting more. Like if you trying to bring back like one of the movies that really kind of changed the industry with The Exorcist that
Yeah.
came out in
Big time.
'73,
Big
if you
time.
trying to redo this shit in a modern sense, I just felt like they went the wrong direction.
Do you feel like with horror movies now, because of how PC and how cautious everyone is with making certain content or movies or TV or whatever, do you think because of that, you know what I'm saying, like that kind of hinders some writers and some story writers?
I think in a sense, and I also think that they looking at some of the movies that had success back then and they're
Hmm.
trying to recreate it. But I think that we are different as people.
Yeah.
I think that how we are so accustomed to violence
Hmm.
that I think that really it may be us. It's just that certain shit just don't scare us anymore.
Right. Right.
And I think that when you look at some of the originals of some stuff and some of the remakes of some stuff, a lot of the times the originals are holding back
Hmm.
than the newer ones. But there's a few that break through the walls. Like I told you, I think, well, the first Evil Dead reboot,
Hmm.
I thought they murdered that one. I thought that one was way better than the original. Evil Dead Rises was cool. It wasn't
Yeah.
better than the first one. And I think that the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that came out, I believe, like 2001 ish or 2003 ish,
Hmm.
they murdered that shit.
Yeah.
But other than that, like a lot of the times, the originals be better. And I don't know, it's an odd thing. It's really odd. But like
Yeah.
for me, watching this new Exorcist movie, it was just more of like, I think that I think there might have been some fear in the writing room, and I think that they
Hmm.
tried to.
Hmm.
I think they tried to follow the older format like as much as possible, but give it
Yeah.
like a newer spin. I didn't like the view of the parents. I
Okay.
think parents kind of fucked it up the uh because Leslie Odom was a single parent in the other couple's daughter, they was a married couple, but it was just like the way that they interacted with everything. Like the other girl's father, like he just really got on my nerves. Like I did
Yeah,
not like his character at all,
right.
and it was just one of those things. And I was just like, man, you know what? Like I feel like when it comes to the Exorcist movies, like for me, I think we had this discussion a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like for me, like the Possession is really the last really good Exorcist type movie that I've seen. Because I
Yeah.
remember you were saying the Exorcism of Emily Rose,
Oh
and I
man,
like that.
yeah.
I like it. I do like it. I think I like the Possession a little bit more, but I don't know, man. It's like they just missing the ball with those type movies.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm rambling, man. I watched No One Can Save You, which y'all can find on Hulu, and I seen the new Exorcist Believer movie,
When
which
I
is on.
seen when I seen that they had the Exorcism of the Exorcist or whatever that movie was, that's when I knew. I said, "Oh yeah, this shit going downhill. It ain't too much they gonna be able to do no more. Because if the Exorcist is getting exorcisms, nigga, it's game over." Um, so for me, I make mine pretty quick because it ain't really too much. So I started watching Gen V, the spinoff of The Boys.
Oh,
You know what
I
I'm
did
saying?
too.
On
I
Amazon
did
Prime.
too. I was holding it
Um,
out till next week.
yeah, pretty good. It started off pretty good. I'm 2 episodes in, so it's looking pretty good. I like the spin that they took on it. You know what I'm saying? This is like it's completely separated from what the boys were doing. It's still in that world because you know what I'm saying. Of course, they're all a part of it and everything, but it's introducing new characters, a whole new. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much a whole new story. Um, you know, I can already see who the Homelander character is supposed to be in this one, but I don't know if they're gonna run with that
See,
though. Because
you only 2 episodes in. I ain't
yeah,
gonna say
that's what
nothing.
I'm saying. I at least I think that's who he is, but as I can kind of tell they may or may not let that happen. Um, the main character, she has a very interesting power. Let me just say that. And so does
No,
her roommate.
her
Yeah,
roommate. Yo, did
yeah.
you see? Hold on. I don't remember if it was the second or the third episode. Did you see what her and that dude got into it?
Nah, I gotta go back in. I didn't finish the second episode. I know the first one, either the first or the second one. The one I'm on is where, or the one I left off was she was going on like I don't know if it was a date or like a OnlyFans thing that she was doing for him or a hookup thing or something. But you know what I'm saying? Like he was into her being little. It was some weird shit.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah. So I
Did
ain't
you see
finished
what
that one
ended up
either.
happening when they
No,
got
no,
back to the
no.
room?
Yeah, no, I ain't finished that. But I was like, this is some wild
Hey,
shit. So I gotta finish that.
hey, I want to tell you so bad.
I already know with the boys, nothing surprises me. So
Hey,
please, what is it? You go ahead and say it. What is it? Because I gotta see it anyway.
yo, so my dude, they go back to the room, they getting into it and shit. And so then he was like, hey, like he's like, basically, I got like a request or whatever. And so he was like, you think you can, get small, no, all this type shit. So like she gets up and goes to the bathroom, in which they
Right.
explain why she always does that. I
Yeah.
won't tell you that part.
Okay.
So, dude, when they come back to the room, yo, all you see on the screen is a fucking hard dick, and she's hanging on to it. And she like she hanging on to it and like tickling it and shit. I was like, yo, but this is the boys for sure.
For
Like
sure. Yeah.
these motherfuckers is wild, my guy.
Yeah.
So
That
she
is
and then like they go to like some kind of like meeting thing or whatever. And so she tries to go to do because she thought that they was, I don't know if she was thinking that he was her boyfriend or whatever,
like
but
it
I
was
guess
cool and shit.
yeah. And he kind of like brushed her off with this other chick. And so
Oh
then
man.
she's like about to cry. And so the girl is like, let me guess. He made you shrink so he can make his dick look big. Because he had like a subconscious issue of
Yeah.
his dick being small. So that's why he wanted her to get small so he could yo.
Yeah,
This
that's the boys.
shit is wild. But
Yeah,
if
that's the
y'all never
boys.
seen The Boys, this is some like he said.
Yeah.
The main character. This is how she figured out how she got her powers.
Oh God.
This motherfucker gets her first period. Like her stomach hurts, so she go into the bathroom. So she's sitting down. She see that she's bleeding, and then the fucking blood comes up in the air. And like she makes a noise, her mom busts down the door and she shot a piece of period blood in her mom's neck and fucking killed her ass. And
No,
then
but then
her
the
fucking
dad,
dad, yo,
that shit was crazy. So just when y'all get a chance, if you haven't seen The Boys, watch The Boys first, just so you can get acclimated to the world, and then watch Gen V. And then second, man, the second season of Loki has started. I started the first episode. Um, Jonathan Majors, I think he's gonna be back in this season. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be good to see him back in the role of Kang. Um, Good to see him back on screen, of course. Especially after everything that's happening, get him back in the right lane of Hollywood. So yeah, Loki season 2 is out. I was excited to see that. The first season was amazing. So, this season is starting off with a very good, way. Loki is getting, well, something happened where he ended up getting shot back and forth between timelines, and it it's a lot of chaos already, and it's nothing short, to expect, especially with it being Loki. So yeah, man, Gen V on Amazon Prime, Loki season 2 on Disney Plus. And I know we told you guys in the coming soon that we were supposed to be doing an appreciation for Ron Howard, but we had to switch it up. First and foremost, because it is October, and in honor of my co-host, man, we always have to make sure that in October we do, something very, very special because, of his favorite genre of movies. And so, no disrespect to Ron Howard, but we got to cover that another time because this episode is the beginning of.
That's right. Horrorfest.
You know what I'm saying, man? It's the Horrorfest, man, 2024. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully y'all like that, man. I practiced that while he was gone.
Yo, that was dope. I like that. I like that.
So you know what I'm saying? I was gonna go more Freddy with it, but I couldn't find a way to insert it in because what I was gonna say was
Welcome to Horrorfest, bitches.
but some Freddy shit. But so today, man, we're gonna do a BTS, man, behind the scenes. We're gonna talk about two of the greatest decades in horror movie history, and that would be the 80s and the 90s, of course. They were riddled with horror movies. Of course, the 80s kind of being like the golden year, and then the 90s kind of being like the, I don't know what you would say, alternative golden year, but it was definitely like the innovation year for the horror genre. So let's start off with the 80s. Of course, we got the usuals. We got Freddy, we got Jason, we got Mike with their franchises. You have uh zombies, you got werewolves, vampires. I mean, you got so much that you can go off of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where do you want to get started with this one?
Well, I don't want to start with the usual suspects.
Okay.
Because that's what the 80s was riddled with. And it was something that we had mentioned like really quick, and I think that it's a fun topic to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
Is surprisingly, I want to start with the Children of the Corn, man.
Yeah.
Yo, it's like when I go back and I think about this shit, like, these kids, fucking Amish kids take over a town and fucking kill the parents and said that it's basically religion and God told them to do it type shit. And it's like when you go back and you watch it, it's like, yo, this is the weirdest shit ever. Like, it's a car that's perfectly fine.
Right.
And then you turn your head and turn back around and there's corn growing out the car. It's like, yo, like what the fuck? It's like what is going on here, man? And it's like Stephen King it's like, look, I gotta say this, man, and I might get killed for this. Stephen King, a bit overrated. I think it's a bit overrated. And I'm gonna
Talk
tell
to
you
me.
why.
I want to hear this.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because when you really sit back, at least okay. Let me rephrase that.
Mm-hmm.
The movies that they use from his books, because I
Right.
never read any of his books. Let
I
me
read a
say that.
couple. Yeah.
Let me say that because when I look at the products of the movies that he put out, a lot of them shits be a little mid.
Okay.
When I look at Children of the Corn, all the Children of the Corn, when I go really look at them, they really all trash.
Mm.
When you look at, to me, Pet Cemetery, bit trash.
Okay.
Now it was, to me, his one. Like it was the one. And even though that's the '90s, but we can get into that when we get there. But like when I look, Christine, it's trash. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Like the movie products of his books, to me, they don't really be good, man.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I just don't think that they'd be good. Like, and like one of the movies that he done, which I think is more '90s,
Mm-hmm.
like Thinner. Thinner was I think Thinner was. It's not a quote unquote like. It's more of like a psychological horror, if you had to put it somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sci-fi horrors, type shit. But like a lot of his movies, well, books that turned into movies, they be kind of mid, man. I'm sorry. I think he a little overrated.
I mean, you may not be too far off because I mean the one that really sticks out amongst most of them, of course, is it. That's like the most popular one. But like to me, I definitely agree with you on Children of the Corn. I never understood that. Um, I remember like when I watched it for the first time, I was like, "What is this? Like this is nothing the ass whooping couldn't stop." Like, like I'm serious. Like they, you know what I'm saying? They running around cornfields and in this big ass house that's in the middle of cornfields. Like just take your belt off and whoop their ass. All of this gets solved. Like I've never been a big fan of Children of the Corn. I don't think I ever seen Thinner. I have heard about it though, but I don't think I ever watched it. But I mean, for me, it's always been it. It has always been the one. Like if you ever talk to people who were either our age or younger and in the 80s, you know what I'm saying, going into the 90s, it was definitely the one that scared the shit out of most people. You know what I'm saying? All the other ones kind of were a little bit lackluster, but it was definitely the one that scared people for sure. Um for me, if we talking about the 80s, outside of like you know what I'm saying, like we said, outside of the you know what I'm saying, the usual suspects, I feel like it was kind of the perfect time for um not just slashers, but like real live horror films like with monsters or zombies, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like ghouls, goblins, those kind of things, right? The ones that really stick out to me in the 80s are the Nights of the Living Deads, the Thing. Um, I'm trying to think what else. I mean, you could kind of say Gremlins, but I
Gremlins
don't
was
really.
more funny to me, but
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. I don't feel like it was more so a scary movie for real. Like Puppet Master was good. To me, The Lost Boys really wasn't scary. To me, that was like a weird ass rom com for some odd reason. You got like Prom Night, My Bloody Valentine, which falls into those slashers. Um, Evil Dead, you know what I'm saying? I thought
mhm.
that was a good one. Fright Night with the vampires, The Fog, of course. Um, I mean, you had it was to me it was so big in the 80s. You even had stuff like Elvira, Pumpkinhead. Possession, The Shining, Killer
Yo, how did
Clowns.
you how did you feel about the Poltergeist?
The Poltergeist was
Yes.
okay. So to me, I feel like out of like that whole like the Exorcism, I mean the I better say the Exorcism, the Exorcist, Damien, Omen, and those type movies. To me, I understand the significance of the Exorcist, but to me, the Poltergeist was always the best one. And the reason I felt like the Poltergeist was always the best one was because when you really watch it, the fear is of something that first and foremost you can't see, you can't touch, you really can't do too much of anything to, and you can't get away from it, right? So watching it, it was just like, to me, that's like the ultimate scary movie. If you really need a blueprint for something to say like, okay, I need to build a scary movie and I need something that I can look at to kind of get some inspiration from, I feel like the Poltergeist is the best one. And I feel like when they created Paranormal Activity, the Poltergeist was sort of that, you know what I'm saying, was sort of that
Blueprint.
blueprint for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, the Blair Witch was with the marketing and everything else and the way it was shot, but like Poltergeist, as far as the storyline, the way, you know what I'm saying, just the whole overall um theme of it is definitely that. Like anything like far as paranormal goes, I'm always with it because it's really nothing, you know what I'm saying, like you can really do to kind of counteract what's going on. So you gotta have to go through the motions of the horror part, you know what I'm saying, of the movie. So I definitely feel like Poltergeist is like out of those the best one, you know what I'm saying, or even just in general, just like the most complete horror movie because there's so much that's going on. Nobody's safe, you know what I'm saying, with the little girl getting kidnapped in the TV, or you know what I'm saying, like little stuff happening here and there, just all that different stuff that went on in that well in those movies. I feel like was dope. And even with, you know what I'm saying, like they had to, you know, go find the lady to come and trying to cleanse the spirit from the house, and even that shit didn't work. And like all those things, just it kind of culminated into a, like, to me, like the perfect scary movie.
The reason why I bring it up is because I think I'm a person where I think what captivates me with horror movies is being relatable, right? More of what I'm saying is like being in that situation, would it scare me, right? So when you're thinking about when you were a kid, and there's
Mm-hmm.
two things that stick out the most
Mm-hmm.
to me about that movie is the fact of the house was built on a graveyard,
Right.
right?
Right.
And they said that that they took all the graves out of the ground and
Mm-hmm.
they moved it down the street or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
they never fucking did that shit. So then you get to thinking like, shit, is my house built on some fucking graves? But then when
Exactly.
you think about it, especially down here, wars that went down, you
Mm-hmm.
know, Revolutionary War, the Civil War, and shit like that. It
Mm-hmm.
could be dead bodies right where I'm fucking, you know what I mean, right where
Literally,
I'm
yeah.
at. You have no idea, like you
Yeah.
just don't know. So that's the one thing that's very relatable. And the second
Mm-hmm.
thing is for the people that's our age, maybe about 5 to 10 years younger than us, then maybe y'all don't know. We used to have a Snow White TV. Shit used to happen.
Yeah.
That shit would scare the fuck out of you. If you
Absolutely. In the
in
middle
the
of the
house,
night.
yeah, in
Oh
the middle of the
man.
night, and you just wake up and your TV got that snowy shit on it,
Bro,
making that sound,
you turning that motherfucker off. Especially after watching that, you are turning that motherfucker off right now.
yo, that's what I'm saying. Those two things right there,
Yeah.
that makes everything so much more relatable and scary. And it's because it's like it's shit that you can actually see. Because I think that like when the Ring had ended up coming out, it really kind of got to a point where we was kind of leaving that stage, so you didn't really see the snowy screen like that anymore, really.
Well, you know what?
So
Do you make a great point, but the point that you just made, I think, is even greater because we were coming out of that stage of the, you know what I'm saying, those like in a sense classic type horror movies. And I think what The Ring did wasn't necessarily the snowy screen thing. I think it was just more so of the fact that they found a way to bring an element out of the movie that made you look at shit a different way. Because The Ring was a great scary movie, but the girl crawling out of the TV, oh my good, you talking about some creepy shit. Like, bro, watching that shit at home and then getting done watching that shit at home, you looking at the TV totally different. You know what I'm saying? Like when you are watching that TV, you watching for everything. Like, man, if something bump out this motherfucker, it's time to go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you really are focusing in on that part of the movie. And I think that them taking that element and making it what it was and how it kind of went like because after a while it started just becoming the whole viral thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, even Joe
Yeah.
Budden used that shit in his video, which I thought was hilarious, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, but just being able to have something like that that stands out in the movie is what's, you know what I'm saying? Like, is to me the thing that makes it, you know what I'm saying, like what it is. Because it's, to me, the biggest part of all of it is the fear factor.
Yeah.
How scared are you with this movie, whether it's psychological, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, whatever it is. What does this movie scare you in one way or the other? And I think that's what makes, you know what I'm saying, the scary movie good, is if you somehow pulled away from this, like, you know what I'm saying, thinking twice about some shit. Like, if you ain't scared in the scary movie, it's not worth it, of course.
Yeah. So I think it's about that time to get to, because see what the '80s brought us was,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying, it all started with, you know what I'm saying, the movie. I think, okay, so The Exorcist, like I was saying earlier, really kind of changed like the horror cinema forever. You know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
which came out in '73. But I think that what it did was it opened up the door for something in that realm of Halloween when it comes to Michael Myers. And what
Yep.
Michael Myers ended up doing was it really opened the floodgates to fucking everything. It changed the
Right.
possibilities of everything. I don't think people really realize that. So even though I'm speaking of a movie that came out in '78, the whole franchise really kicked off in the '80s. So
Mm-hmm.
now you got the Halloweens. You end up having four in that decade. You got to throw Season of the Witch in there. I've never been a fan of Season of the Witch, but anyway, so four of those dropped in. So then, for a lot of people that don't know this, I know this from watching that one documentary of the movies that made us. That's on Netflix.
Netflix.
Sean Cunningham was like, "Yo, I basically bit off of John Carpenter." He like Jason is basically a spinoff of Michael Myers, basically.
He's the dead Michael Myers.
Yeah, like he's just like, yo, I basically ripped him off, basically. So then he comes and he drops like fucking, I don't know, like five or six Friday the 13th in the '80s.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got, Wes Craven, him and
Mm-hmm.
Sean Cunningham, they were cool. Because Wes Craven actually helped Sean Cunningham with some of the filming of Friday the 13th. So
Right.
then he comes with the Freddy idea.
Oh,
So then he dropped
the
by
best.
maybe three or four in the '80s.
Yeah.
And so then this is more up your lane. You got Hellraiser. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? I don't necessarily know how many of those ended up dropping in the '80s.
Maybe about 2 or 3.
Okay, it's about two or three. And then towards the tail end, you got Chucky. And I think maybe two of them was dropped in the '80s.
I want to say 1.
It might have been one. It might have been that one might have been
The
89,
original
88
Child's
to
Play.
89.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to say between like 86 and 89 was the original Child's Play.
So that's when it, to me, where it really took that turn and where I think it was really kind of that golden age, because what we end up getting was this took us into that supernatural thing where it's like, yo, these guys basically like they can't be killed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so it takes you to that different realm of like that scare factor is a little different. Now you add the teenage shit to it, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Whether it's camp counselors, whether it's high school students,
Yep.
which was Halloween and Freddy. So
Mm-hmm.
it's but Freddy also, well, you know what? I would say more teens.
Freddy,
Like
it was
yeah,
all
he's a
teenagers.
he's a pedophile, but he really fucked with teenagers mostly. It
Yeah.
was mostly teenagers that he really fucked with, even though he would collect kids and shit like
Mm-hmm.
that. But it was more of the teenage thing. So as far as like all of those, because those are really like if you have to put 80s in a nutshell,
Yeah.
that's basically what it is. It's
Well,
Halloween's. It's like,
not so much though, because you can't forget, and that's why I said that's why I brought it up. You can't forget the Night of the Living Deads
but
because
how many of them drop?
maybe about shit with that franchise, probably about two or three. But with
Okay,
the zombie genre in general, because you got the Night of the Living Dead, I think you got like Return of the Living Dead, and then you got the shoot, hold on, man, because it's so many different zombie films. I know you got Return of the Living Dead, you got Night of the Living Dead, and then you got what's the other one? What's the other one? Shoot. I'm gonna have to find it. Give me a minute. I gotta find it.
okay. But yeah, like what I was saying was like just in a general sense is what I meant. Like I'm not trying to like leave anything out because I mean you got The Shining, you know what I'm saying, which you know The Shining is revered, but I think to me personally, the story is a little basic to me. I think what really took this movie to the next level was I think that this was the coming out party for Jack Nicholson.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that his performance was so good in it, it really kind of took that movie to the next level.
Yeah.
But like, there's definitely other movies. I was just meaning like if you look at 80s as a whole, like if you're speaking to an alien and you're like, yo, um, this is 80s horror movies right here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like those are a lot of the movies that you're gonna talk about. Like you're gonna talk about the Halloweens, the Nightmare on Elm Streets, the
Mm-hmm.
Hellraisers, I said Friday the 13th. And Evil Dead ended up dropping, I think, two in that decade. So I mean there's definitely other movies. Night Demon, Creepers, you got Day of the Living Dead.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean there's definitely other shit that's in there. Like you mentioned earlier, My Bloody Valentine,
Mm-hmm.
The Thing. So
Critters.
there, yeah, Critters, and so there's definitely other stuff in there. I was just meaning like as a whole, because it was so many of those movies dropped in such a rapid time to where it really took over the 80s, and I think that we're never gonna see another time like that.
Right.
Now, the only thing that's close to it, which we're gonna have to get into, is the 90s. But like the 80s, there was just so much shit, and like the Children of the Corn. I mean, even though I don't really fuck with it like that, but it dropped a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them. I mean, there had to be like at least three, possibly four Children of the Corn that came out in the 80s.
Right.
So that's another one where you're talking about a collection of movies that came out. That's one of those. That's another one of those things.
So so you got Night of the Living Dead, right?
Hmm.
And then you got Return of the Living Dead, and then this is where George Romero pops in. Shout out to George Romero, possibly one of the greatest zombie movie directors of all time, may be the greatest. He then pops up with Day of the Dead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Usually we had these zombie movies at night, and of course at night they gotta find their way out. But then he changed the game and made it to where it's during the day. And that was at that time that was something different because you never thought of zombies during daytime. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? Like you didn't even fathom that in the 80s. So when that comes out, that changes everything up too, because now it's a whole new spin on, you know what I'm saying, the mythology of the, you know what I'm saying, the zombie genre.
yeah. So before we go to the 90s, to finish
Mm-hmm.
my Stephen King point, this is
Right.
Stephen King based movies in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
You got Cujo,
Oh,
Christine,
I forgot about Cujo.
Creep Show, Cat's Eye, Silver Bullet, Firestarter, Children of the Corn, The Shining, Pet Cemetery, Creep Show 2, and Dead Zone. What's what's more than mediocre in those?
The only other person I could think is M. Night Shyamalan.
Like my only point of what I'm saying is I don't know about the book because I don't want the book people to come after me.
Right.
But as far as the movies, all of those movies are average to me, man.
Yeah.
They're all average to me. That's the only point I was just trying to make about Stephen King.
I mean, you got a good point. I would challenge anyone to argue that. You know what I'm saying? I really would. You make a great point with that. However, though, I think that with it and Cujo and Pet Cemetery, because those were so successful, I think everything else kind of gets overlooked. Because you only need a handful of hits. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And
yeah.
you can kind of carry a mediocre catalog if you have, you know what I'm saying, a couple hits in there. And I think that's kind of what we ended up seeing. Um, so the 90s, you know what I'm saying? Um, this is where I say we have the innovation. This is like to me the innovation era, right?
Yes. Yes.
Because things definitely changed with the way we looked at horror movies, the way we kind of participated with horror movies as far as going to see them, renting them, buying them, and all of these other things. Because I believe in the 90s it was like even they even had like a Freddy Krueger hotline. You know what I'm saying? Like you can call Freddy Krueger and talk to him. You know what I'm saying? Like I think the 90s is where like those cult classics kind of became what they were. You know what I'm saying? They were already established movies. They were, you know what I'm saying? It was already a way to scare people. The slasher films were sky high through the roof at this point. Nobody was really doing too much of anything else. Um, and so what's crazy is in 1990 we get it. And for some odd reason, this feels like a fucking 80 movie. So now it makes even more sense now of why his shit feels so mediocre because it's like in the 80s, he really just had Cujo and Pet Cemetery.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying with that point. And I think this movie it was kind of. I mean, look, I don't think anything changed with cinematography from '89 to '90, but if you think
No,
about
not
it,
at
I mean,
all.
this shit had to be shot in '89 more than
Yeah,
likely.
definitely, yeah.
And shit,
It
that
was
shit
just
was like what?
released in 90, yeah.
Yeah, it was just released in '90s and what? So it was what like 2:30, almost 3 hours or some shit like that.
Yeah.
So that was the first time. Like I remember you talking about Titanic. This is the first time I've ever seen a double take. Was
Mm-hmm.
it? You know what I'm saying? Because it was so long they had to put that shit on two different fucking tapes.
Right. Right.
So it was that thing that came in that really like even though they tried to do the revenge or whatever the killer clown shit, the
That
killer
was
from
more
outer space.
yeah, that I think that was more so comedy too,
Yeah,
and yeah.
it was, but it was that to me, in my opinion, being the age that I am, that was the first movie that really kind of gave people like that fear of clowns.
Right.
Where it was like, yo, like then you start thinking about like, okay, so you got a grown ass man doing like a birthday party or whatever, you know what I'm saying, for kids.
Mm-hmm.
And he got to thinking, well, it's kind of weird. If you think
Okay.
about it,
This gets interesting now. because in the 80s, I feel you. But in the 90s, because I've totally forgot about this, he had Sleepwalkers too.
I never seen Sleepwalkers.
You never seen Sleepwalkers? Sleepwalkers is a good movie, bro. Sleepwalkers is a real good movie. Sleepwalkers was all right. Um, but moving into the 90s, right? This is where we see um a very innovative way of making horror movies. And so in the early 90s you have the usuals, you get Night of the Living Dead, you get things like Nightbreed, and of course, you still got Friday the 13th, you still got Halloween's, you still got Child's Play, which is, slashers. But then you get a movie like The People Under the Stairs. Um you get a movie like Misery, which is
Which is
kind of
Stephen King.
a which is kind of a horror.
The concept of it is horror.
Yeah. But then you also get, what I'm saying, movies like The Leprechaun. You know what I'm saying? You get movies like The Hunting. Um, you get movies like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which was a remake, of course, but it's a remake from like the 60s or 70s or whatever. And then you also get something different in slasher films with Candyman. You know what I'm saying? This is
See,
a whole new take on slasher films in itself
that's
because this is incorporating African American cultures, you know what I'm
listen.
saying? And stuff like that. So now we have a whole different look on slasher films. Um, House on Haunted Hill. Um, I
Don't
guess
forget
Hidden
about
Faculty.
but don't forget about I know and I still know what you did last summer.
Oh, I didn't even get there yet. Cause we not even there
Like
yet. The two biggest franchises to come out of the 90s was that and Scream.
yeah, that and Scream,
You know what
yes.
I'm saying? Which were also slashers, but to me, I feel like they took and what made them so popular and so successful was because they took that classic look on slasher films. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of
Yep.
high school friends, you got somebody chasing them and killing them off one by one. You don't really know who it is. It's sort of like a who done it, so you don't really know who it is until the end. And even in Scream, you still kind of didn't know who it is, even though you seen who it was. You still was kind of like, I don't know, because you know what I'm saying. It could have been this person, could have been that person. Then you end up finding out, of course. So, like, you know what I'm saying. You still have movies like that, but then you get a movie like The Sixth Sense. You get Urban Legend. And then of course somebody goes to make Bram Stoker's Dracula, which to me wasn't a horror movie. It was more like a drama in a weird way. Um, you get Cube, Wishmaster, uh, I'm trying to
Dude,
find
don't forget
Third of
don't sl-
Echoes.
don't sleep on Dr. Giggles
Okay,
because
you
Dr.
told me
Giggles
about this before.
Dr. Giggles can fuck you up as a kid because you know what I'm saying Dr. Giggles was a fucking dentist taking motherfuckers' teeth out and shit. That shit have your ass
Hmm.
scared to go to the dentist, man. 'Cause you like, yo, is this damn dentist gonna fuck my whole shit up?
Oh yeah,
Like they did in Dr. Giggles. So
that's
Dr.
hilarious.
Giggles was like, yo, I'm telling you, it's all about what can relate to you in your life. And I
But this
think,
is this is also where it gets, what I'm saying, interesting, because this is where we get, what I'm saying, a real psychological thriller with Silence of the Lambs too.
yes, yes,
You know what I'm saying?
you
So
are.
yeah, it's some different ones. But also because of the success of the horror genre in the 80s, you know, not just the movies either. You got to remember, because TV is a thing in these two time periods. Like literal appointment television is a thing in these two time periods. In the 80s, you had things like Unsolved Mysteries and you know what I'm saying, the Twilight Zones, and you know what I'm saying, you had all of these different things, and then you move into the 90s and you got one of the biggest horror TV shows of all
Tales
time,
from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
possibly the greatest horror show. You know what I'm saying? Like literal, like people would literally stay up at night to watch this show. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know, man, because like, okay, so we in the 90s, right? And then we see something that we've never seen before in 96. We see the Blair Witch Project.
No, that was 99.
99, I'm sorry, 99. I don't know why I keep wanting to say 96. For me, 96 was a very historic year for people, just so people know. A lot of stuff happened in 96. So um so 99 we get, and this is like at the literal tail end, we get the Blair Witch Project. This is something we've never seen before. You know what I'm saying? It's shot different. The marketing for it is different. You got people going up to, you know what I'm saying, Massachusetts looking for, you know what I'm saying, this Blair Witch. Like this is something that's on the news. Like this is a real big thing at the time. And we've talked about this before in other episodes about how much of how strong this marketing tool ended up being, and how it helped this become such a successful movie. But this is something that we've never seen before, because this was supposedly all supposed to be shot on one, you know what I'm saying, handheld video camera.
Mm-hmm.
And when we see this, it's just like it's blowing everybody's mind. And this is why I say this, for me at least, this is the innovation era, because we get, you know what I'm saying, like I said, like we get a movie like The Leprechaun. Who the fuck thought that leprechauns was evil?
Yeah.
Like when we were
But
growing up, leprechauns was like little cool dudes that showed you, you know what I'm saying, the end of the rainbow with the pot of gold. Next thing you know, it's this dude that's getting people killed, you know what I'm saying, by just random stuff, man. And then like you said, we also get you know what I'm saying, we get Pinhead. You know what I'm saying?
yep.
Which was, yo, you talking about a movie that'll mess your brain up. That's the one. Wishmaster too. Wishmaster was crazy too.
Man, you jumping over the obvious, man.
Talk to me.
You wanna know a movie that fucked me up?
Talk to me.
The Craft.
With the hot witches?
Exactly. Because first of all, they hot witches. Yo, did you see Robin Tunney in that movie?
I seen them all in that movie, brother.
Like, yo, how we supposed to know what girl is witches or not, man? We might get with a bitch. Yo, can you imagine? It's a girl you fuck with, right? She come on to you. You take her up to the room. You smashing. And then all of a sudden, she walks in the room. And then the girl that you smashing is somebody else. Yo.
You know what happens during that?
Man, you better.
That's what happens. I'm not going nowhere.
Hey, I'm saying the crap for me.
Yeah.
The Craft was one of those game changers. It really was. Man. I think, yo, I'm telling you, the Craft. If I appreciate the Craft,
nothing about the Craft scared me at all.
No, I'm not saying scary.
Okay.
But if you were in the situation though, remember she put the spell on one dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Well, he fucking madly in love with her. He got them going around town acting like a fucking crazy person and all this type of shit.
For me.
Man, listen. Can you imagine? See, this is the thing. So it's just magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we've had the conversation on here about voodoo and hoodoo and all this type of shit like that. And it's just the fact that there's girls who's practicing this shit and they can make you do shit that you don't want to do. Like that's some scary shit. Because remember, he was confused. He was like, "Why am I doing this?" He had no idea why he was so obsessed with her. I'm just saying, like, if a girl casts a fucking spell on you, You know what I'm saying? And using this dark magic. See, they was really using dark magic on each other. Like
Yeah, see,
they
that's
got
the
to.
thing, man. The dark magic is an analogy. It's a metaphor for the real dark magic.
I hear you, but the craft is wild.
I feel
But
you, man.
but
I
there's
feel you.
something I wanted to tackle though. You mentioned it briefly,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's very important to really get into it. And it was the whole thing of really black people getting really involved in horror movies. Because
Yeah.
when you look at the 80s, they're always like a small character just in there.
Oh,
You
and
know what I
he's out of
mean?
there. Yeah.
And yeah, like he's always the first, or she's always the first to die in the movie and shit. It's always a small character who just get little words in. And then when you go
Yeah.
into the 90s, now you really get that first guy in Candyman who really turned the shit upside down. But that's not. It's not just that. Like in the 90s, you have, even though it was more of a comedy horror, but you have vampires in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
You got uh
Tales from the
uh
Hood.
Tales from the Hood. You got Leprechaun. I think
In the Hood.
3. Yeah, like Leprechaun in the Hood. So it's like now you're starting to get, like, you know what I'm saying, more black characters and shit in horror movies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but also during this time, that was when the whole black surgence really started to happen as well.
Yeah.
So it was just more of, putting them in horror movies, and then they started to figure out, like, yo, like these motherfuckers are really standing off the screen. Like we need to do more, you know what I'm saying, in this field or
Yeah.
whatever, whatnot. But like I think that was something that was huge, because I think Candyman is the one for me that stands out, because, like I say, is what really scares you in real life. I say it all the time. I still have not said Candyman in the mirror 5 times. It's
Never.
something I don't fuck with.
I
Like I'm
told you
not
I will say Bloody Mary before I say Candyman.
like I am not messing with Daniel Rimenine, man. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Man,
So
listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. The, when Candyman came out, because it was so different, like as a kid, that's the one that got me. Because it wasn't, Candyman was so relatable to us. Like you believed, especially living in the hood, like you believed, like if you did that shit, Candyman could pop up on your ass. And he didn't look like no scary motherfucker. He was just like this black dude with a hook coming out his hand.
yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't do nothing crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, he was supposed to be a ghost and shit like that. But at the same time, it was just like, yo, this was, to me, this was the most believable out of all of them. Like I knew I'm not going to no fucking Camp Crystal Lake, so I didn't have to worry about Jason. Fucking Michael Myers was after his sister, didn't have to worry about him. Chucky, you could punt that motherfucker, so that wasn't even, I wasn't worried about that. You know what I'm saying? The Leprechaun, you ain't gonna see no goddamn leprechauns in no hood until the movie came out, and even then, it was like kind of a comedy at that.
That shit was a
So then,
comedy, man.
yeah. So then, when you see Candyman, this is one that like they really taking seriously. They're really making this the essential horror genre, the slasher horror genre, and you seeing it, you like, oh shit, like this motherfucker is about business. Only thing I don't like about movies, though, this is the only thing I don't like about Hollywood. They
Okay.
always find, especially when it's a black dude, bro, they always find a way to get this nigga caught up with a white woman.
Well, this is the thing though. When you know his background, you understand why they did what they did. So I
Absolutely.
think
But
I think
until
that
they tell
kind of
you his
makes it more
background,
relatable.
until they tell you his background.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The whole background makes it make sense. Why else
Absolutely.
would why would they do that to him if he was messing with a black woman? They'd be like, whatever, do what you do.
But that's what I'm saying, bro. Like just in general, like it's always a white woman catching up a black dude. The perfect example. It's not a horror movie, but Hitchcock.
Yo,
This nigga
you a
was
Hitchcock,
he was
man.
the indestructible Negro, going around doing whatever he wanted. But what was he? He was a fucking alcoholic, Motherfucker was unhappy, depressed. This nigga got all the powers in the world. Can't nobody say if he wanted to walk into a bank right now, he could go walk to a bank, take all the money, and live the life he wanted to live. Nobody could do nothing about it. But no, he was an alcoholic on the corner. He was a fucking bum, which was crazy. I've never seen a superhero bum. Then come to find out, the motherfucker's only weakness, his only weakness.
Yo, you stupid, man. We do this every time.
Come on, man. It's just it's getting old, man. It's getting real old, bro.
Look, man, I hear you.
Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, right? I want to say I don't know if it was Leprechaun in the Hood or if it was Leprechaun 2. But it's a scene in Leprechaun where it's a dude and a girl. I don't remember which one this is from. It's a dude and a girl running away from the Leprechaun. But somehow they end up by like these big ass industrial fans. And the dude see a pair of titties as the fans walks into the fans and gets killed. Do you remember that? Have you ever seen Leprechaun?
No. I've seen it, but I don't remember that. It's not ringing any bell.
Okay, never mind then. I got to go back and watch it and tell you which one it is before this month is up. But I remember this scene in Leprechaun. I don't know if it was in Leprechaun from the Hood or in the Hood, whichever one he was in, or Leprechaun 2 or 1. One of them Leprechaun movies. This scene happened. And I'm hoping and praying that it's not Leprechaun in the Hood because it was a pair of white titties. The dude walked to him and got killed. And if this is Leprechaun in the Hood, that's a problem. Because once again, like even the story for Candyman is crazy, bro. Like it's not far-fetched, don't get me wrong. Nothing that we know this is definitely probably happened. You know what I'm saying? Not the Candyman part, though his origin story. We know this is more than likely probably happened. But just the fact that this was the story that y'all went off of, this nigga comes back to life or from the dead or whatever you want to call it. He doesn't kill her. He falls in love with her.
Hold on. Whoa. What are you talking about?
Candyman.
Fell in love with who?
The girl.
He didn't fall in love with her.
What did you call it, sir?
He was fascinated with her because she was fascinated with him. And she didn't believe, so he had to force her to believe, and the only way he could force her to believe is to set her ass up for murder.
All right, can we move on? All right. Can we please move on?
What?
Dude, he set Helen up, man. I'm telling you.
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
What are we talking about, bro? What?
Man, he was not in love with that woman.
In love with that woman, man.
Man, you saw something.
Come on, bro. You better go. Gotta go back and rewatch that.
Man, you know how many times, dude? I've watched that movie so many fucking times, man.
And you never.
No,
it never
I didn't see it.
On you, not once.
I did not see it as love. I didn't see it as love. Because the thing is, the second one is different from the first.
Protecting her from shit.
He was not protecting her. Dude, he got her set up and got her in a fucking mental institution.
And
then when she broke out,
why did he get her in the mental institution so he could see her all the time?
That's not why he did it.
She in one spot, she can't go.
He let her out.
That's obvious.
He let her out, and then he ended up getting her set up.
He got her locked up, then let her out.
Yeah, so she could go back and kill. Man,
sound like he fucked up and was like, "Oh, let me get my girl up out of here. I messed up because this ain't what was supposed to happen." That sounds like protection to me, brother.
Man, okay, no.
Come on, brother.
He set her up, man. I'm telling you. He got her. He ended up getting her because remember she went back. She fucking She went back, killed. No, she killed. Who she killed? Because she killed the girl. She killed the girl, and then she got locked up for real for killing the girl. And then like he broke her out to get the baby because she broke her. She got out and she saved the baby, but she ended up dying. But
in the fire.
yeah, and then fucking
And
Trevor
why did
did
he make her? Why did he make her die in the fire?
well because he wanted her to die with him.
And what do you call that?
He needed a partner, man, in crime.
It sounds like Romeo and Juliet. It's called
Listen,
love, brother. He loved her, man.
man, he did not love her. Listen,
Man, if y'all listening to
I got.
this, please hit us up and let us know, and tell us if who's tripping, because I'm telling you that's a love story.
Okay, I hear you, but there's an underrated movie
Mm-hmm.
that came out at the end in '99. Now, the acting in it is trash. It's the concept of the movie that I fuck with. So we all know about Carrie that came out, I think
Carrie came out in
77,
the
78, I
okay.
think.
I think Carrie had came out in the 80s too,
And I think it was the late 70s.
late 70s. Okay.
I think it was either 77 or 78, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So there was a Carrie 2, The Rage,
Mm-hmm.
that came out in '99.
Yep.
The girl ended up being the daughter of the same girl, which is crazy
Mm-hmm.
because this movie came out in '99. Carrie was a high school student in the late '70s.
Mm-hmm.
So this dude, what, had to have this girl in his like 40s, 50s. But anyway,
Probably.
so she ended up being, you know what I'm saying, the daughter of Odu. So she had the telekinesis as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like her whole shit, what tripped me out about this movie is like, so there was these dudes on the football team, and like they had like this point system where they gave
Mm-hmm.
certain girls like scores, and it was like, and they was like adding that shit up or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And
Scoreboard.
so there was a dude on the football team. He really like liked her or whatever, but she didn't know that the dudes on the football team, the other dudes, had filmed them like having sex and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, long story short, see Carrie in the '70s, she killed everybody at the prom.
Yep.
Well, this was a house party,
Mm-hmm.
and this bitch killed like everybody at the damn house party and shit.
Yeah.
Now that shit, that part of it was dope. Now you could tell that this wasn't a movie that like hit the theaters and shit like that, but
Right.
it's just one of those, you know how I am. It's one of those underground sneaky movies
Yeah.
where
It followed a template already made. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? The modern take. Yeah. Great way to make. You know what I'm saying? A movie, especially if the predecessor had success. I think that's a great way to, especially with it being so far apart too. Because 22
and
years after, to recreate it, but you know what I'm saying, make it the way that they did, and it's still been good. That's something to say.
this is what makes it dope though. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
not mistaken, I think her name is Amy Irvin.
Okay.
Amy Irvin was a student, and she was the one who. So if you know the story of Carrie, the girl that was dating the guy that Carrie liked, she had got in trouble and she couldn't go to the prom. So she asked her boyfriend to take Carrie to the prom,
Mm-hmm.
right? That girl from the '70s, that's Amy Irvin. The same actress is in this movie. She's the fucking school counselor.
Yeah.
So they brought somebody back from, you know what I'm saying, the original Carrie who was close to Carrie.
Right.
And now she is a high school counselor and she sees that she has the same telekinesis that Carrie had and all this type of shit. Now she didn't know that Carrie and this girl had the same father. She didn't know that, but she just seen the powers that she had and she tried to protect her, but she ended up not being able to prevent the whole shit that happened at the party. Just a little underground thing for y'all. If y'all looking for something to watch, if y'all into Carrie and telekinesis and shit. Also, when it comes to Seven part, so So Friday the 13th, it might be. I think it was the one that was titled the final chapter or the last chapter or something like that. That was the one that had the girl with telekinesis. That's if y'all into this whole telekinesis shit. But yeah, Carried to the Rage came out in '99. Sneaky good movie.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And real quick, let's talk about one that you actually might know a little bit more about. Well, you really definitely probably know more about, man. The Devil's Advocate.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's my shit.
You know, this is also in that horror genre. I'm not sure exactly how it plays out because I've never fully watched it. But before
What?
we go ahead and I'm so serious. I watched some of it, but I never like really got into it. I seen it when I was younger too, so I think that's really a big part of what it was. But if you can kind of give us like an insight into that of how that is, because I think that's also another interesting innovation in horror genres. I mean, in the horror genre too, because at first glance you don't even realize that that's a horror movie. Like if you just looking at the cover of that, you don't know that's a horror movie for
Yeah, and you see the name Devil
real.
and all this type of shit. It's not really that. It's like the original sins type shit. You know,
Right.
envy, greed, and all of that type shit. And so basically, this movie is about this lawyer who's a very successful lawyer. And you know, you hear the things about defense attorneys and the type of clients that they because that's why there's a whole thing of like, for instance, the Lincoln lawyer. He
Mm-hmm.
was married to a woman who was a prosecutor, and he was a defense attorney. And like they love each other, they got a daughter together, but it's just like they keep clashing with the law. Like she's like, "How
Right.
can you defend people who are guilty?" And I'm trying to take people down that are guilty. So they clash. And like this movie, like Keanu Reeves is this hotshot lawyer, never lost a case. I mean, he has the most impossible cases, but he never fucking lose.
Mm-hmm.
And so Al Pacino is this big shot lawyer from New York. He wants to bring him in, and see, he was a lawyer, if I'm not mistaken, in Gainesville, Florida. Keanu Reeves was. So he bring him up to New York. Come to find out, Al Pacino is his dad, but he's also the fucking devil. And it's
Yeah.
like that's why that motherfucker never lost,
Right.
is because you know what I'm saying. He be having a way to manipulate shit. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like this whole thing of like there's a lot of events that end up happening like throughout the movie, but what makes it so unique is the fact of like to sit back and think that we always bring up the whole thing of like if Jesus was here, we wouldn't know who he is type thing,
Right.
right? And it's like one thing that nobody never really think about is that if the devil is walking among us, everybody always want to talk about, oh, what if Jesus, like uh Kendrick's song, how much do a dollar cost?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The whole moral of the story is the dude that was asking him just for $1
Mm-hmm.
turned out to be Jesus.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Playing as a homeless guy. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, just think if a fucking the devil is walking around here and he's the big shot lawyer, and his whole plot is to fucking do the fucking Antichrist, have him and his sister fucking link up and have the fucking Antichrist and all this type shit.
Mm-hmm.
So but it's also what makes it even more scary is that if the devil was here, that'd be the perfect place for him to be, is to be in law.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So it's just one of those things where if you add real life to it, that's what make the shit scary in a sense. Is the fact of like, what if this like we always talk about? It's always two things. It's either Christ or aliens walking among us. We don't
Yeah.
never talk about what if the devil is walking among us, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let the Bible tell it. He's always walking amongst us.
That's what I'm saying.
You
It's
know what I
like
mean?
that's one of the things that make this movie so dope because
Yeah.
he ended up making the sacrifice or whatever. But like the thing is the what they do they call it's not the seven deadliest sins. What they call that shit?
No, this
What
is
is it?
seven deadly sins.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is that. Yeah. So like the devil was playing on all of those when he was trying to get Keanu Reeves to basically
Mhm.
be evil, basically.
Right.
So Devil's Advocate, man, it's one of those ones. It's actually something that it's on the list. It's something that I've been wanting to do on this podcast because I think the concept of the movie is really dope.
Right. We're gonna have to look into that for sure, man. Okay, man. So let's go ahead and close this thing out. We've been running for some time actually, which is a good thing. So let's start here, man. The best horror movie of the 80s, the worst horror movie of the 80s.
Oh, that's a good question. Um, okay, I give you the best. Okay, I give. Okay, all right, I got you. I got you. The best. Come on, man. This movie is in my motherfucking um top 10 when we did our top 10.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta roll with Friday the 13th Part 6, man. I got to. That's my shit. Like that's that's just one of those ones for me. I almost went with the element of surprise with Nightmare on Elm Street because that first one, that shit is legendary.
Right.
Like legendary. It changed really the fucking world. But if I had to pick one, I'm gonna edge out with Friday the 13th Part 6. That's my shit. It has
And this is
everything that you
for
want.
your best, right?
Yeah, that's my best. My worst, with the hype that it gets, I gotta go to Children of the Corn. I gotta go with the Children of the Corn. It's
Okay.
just for the hype that it gets and all of the movies that it got afterwards.
Yeah.
Get that bullshit out of here, man. So so that's mine. What's yours?
All right, man. So the best, man, is Nightmare on Elm Street 3. You know what I'm saying? Not
Man, come on, man. Get
I had to do it,
dude.
man. I had to do it, man. You know I love that movie, man. But seriously, it's Nightmare on Elm Street 2. I think that is out of all of them the best Nightmare on Elm Street to me.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, man. I really fuck with that one. To me, that's the one that stands out um amongst all of them. And I just think as far as getting a sequel right, especially, you know what I'm saying, having, you know what I'm saying, a success of, you know what I'm saying, like the first one, especially when it's something new and it's something that really hasn't been done, to get the sequel right is definitely a very heavy task. And I think that Nightmare on Elm Street 2 definitely cover all bases. And some could even possibly say it might even be better than the first. Um, and then for the worst, I'm gonna have to agree with you, man. It's definitely Children of the Corn. I cannot think of a worse movie than that. I'm sorry.
That
Like I
movie.
said, that could have been a 5-minute film. You know what I'm saying? They show the first scene a minute long. They in the house. Next scene another minute long. You know what I'm saying? Where the kids is acting crazy and doing shit. You know what I'm saying? Third scene, 2 minutes long. They getting their ass whooped, and the final cut is boom. You know what I'm saying? Everything back good again. So, yeah, for sure, man. Definitely Children of the Corn. So best movie of the '90s, worst movie of the '90s. Now this is the tough one.
It really is because
Yeah.
oh my god, there's so many. There's so many, and it's really hard because Candyman, like when it comes to my childhood, like Candyman is like one of those ones for me. The
Mm-hmm.
first Scream is one of those ones for me. Um, I'm huge in the Halloween, and to me, Halloween H2O
Yeah.
is probably like my second favorite Halloween that they put together. Um, damn, but that's tough. The '90s is a whole lot tougher for me, man. Um, if I got to go with my gut though, man, if I go off what I've seen the most, it was Halloween H2O. Um, but then, like I say, we had this discussion about the ring. You know what I'm saying? What the ring did. Ah man, I'm gonna go Halloween H2O. Worst. Come on, man. I hate to do this. Um, shout out to the homie. Shout out to the homie Jay. But it might be people on the stairs, man.
Oh, you definitely gonna be hearing about that one for sure.
Hey, okay, I'm rolling with that. I'm rolling with that.
That's hilarious, bro. That is definitely hilarious. Um, so for me, it's a tough one for me. Between the invasion of the body snatchers and Night of the Living Dead. Um, Invasion of the Body Snatchers was a dope movie to me. But Night of the Living Dead, because I'm so enthralled with the zombie genre and horror, I have to go with Night of the Living Dead. 1990 version, fire, featuring your boy Tony Todd. Matter of fact, um, so I mean, it was a good movie, man. It was just dope. It's just a classic zombie film. You know what I'm saying? They got everything right in that movie, and I really, really messed with it. It was a good story. You know what I'm saying? It's a classic horror movie. The way it's set up, I really fuck with it. And then the worst horror movie of the '90s would have to be hands down Bride of Chucky. That was the most trash, trash horror movie I've ever seen. Um, I've okay, so first and foremost, to me, Chucky was never a thing with me. Like I will never like with that. The fact that a doll was running around, and I guess I'm too logical too. But the fact that a doll was running around killing people, and even the fact that some random white dude did voodoo to put his soul into a doll was already off to me. But not just the fact that like, you know what I'm saying, of that, it's just the fact that like the doll was like really killing people. Like imagine if your GI Joe was running around like killing people. You'd be like, what are we doing here? I'm just serious, like seriously though, like what are we doing here? I couldn't get with that, man. And then to add on the fact that you added another doll in there. Shout out to Jennifer Tilly though. I think she's a great actress. You know what I'm saying? Definitely one of the hotties of the '90s. Um, but to then add her and make her a doll and then make them like tandem kill people was super fucking weird. And then not only that, they did it and had a kid. It just got to be too much shit going on for me at a child's play. So yeah, I was cool on that. And then like I remember one scene in there, she was like, "Are you gonna wear a condom?" And he was like, "We made a rubber."
Yo, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it was just certain stuff in there. I was just like, yeah, I'm cool on it. This is horrible. So definitely the worst movie of the '90s was Bride of Chucky for sure. That shit was horrible. Um so now that we got there, man, let's get into the coming soon.
Let's do it.
Coming soon to own on video and DVD.
So we haven't really compiled the list yet, but that's something that we are getting to. But the next episode, for sure is going to continue to be part. Oh, wrong part.
Part of the 2024 Horrorfest. Okay, never mind. I pushed the wrong button. What did I do?
Okay, forget that
No,
part.
you know what?
What's up?
Okay. How about this?
Mhm.
Just off the score.
Okay.
We've done Final Destination.
Yes.
What about doing Final Destination 2?
Let's do it.
Because I will say this. The one thing about Final Destination movies
Mm-hmm.
is it have you looking at regular life different.
Oh, absolutely.
Because when you see log trucks now,
You go all the way in the other lane and you slow the fuck down and let every car pass you.
hey, that shit changed interstate driving forever, my
For
guy.
sure. Any dude in a big rig or any kind of big truck that carried anything got instant spoiled on the highway for sure.
I'm telling you. Look,
Without a
that's just off the dumb. Look, we ain't got to. I'm just saying that's an idea that just popped up in the head.
That's a great idea. I'm with it.
All right. So Final
So
Destination 2.
there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. You know what I'm saying? Next episode is going to be on Final Destination 2. Yeah, I like doing that. So make sure you know what I'm saying, you guys get into it, watch it. If you guys haven't seen any of the movies we mentioned here, this is the perfect time to start watching them, especially with the fact that you have the rest of the month to catch up and watch these movies. If there's a movie that you like yourself and we didn't mention or failed to mention, or we just possibly don't know, send it to us in the socials. Let us know. Tell us all about it. You can hit us up on Instagram and Twitter at ViewAnon Pod. You can hit us up on Facebook at VA Pod Watch Group. You can also hit us up on Twitter in our community, Viewers Anonymous. This is the perfect time to get to talking about these movies and everything. So join the community, come talk with us. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our podcast. It's only $2.99 a month. You get extra episodes, and they are great episodes. Do not miss out on those. Especially with it being October, I think we could possibly come up with some ideas to do some super dope paid episodes. So make sure you get there, make sure you check that out. It's only $2.99 a month, $2.99 for those who are confused. So don't miss out on that. Let me see. And if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on X at Scoots Bronson. I have a link tree in my bio. You can find me everywhere else there.
And y'all can find me at s.foster8 on Instagram and on Twitter, or X, at 28 minutes or less pod. That's just on IG. Follow the podcast 28 minutes or less. The last episode is, I'm trying to think, did I say it on the last one? I think I did. But anyway,
Monster
episode
Cody, right?
136. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Monster Cody. You know what I'm saying? From the 8 Trade Gangster Crips. You know what I'm saying? I did an episode on him. So go check that out on all major platforms. And that's all I got.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for listening. Your support is always greatly appreciated. And last but not least, thank you for watching. You are definitely helping us out by watching us on Spotify and listening to us on Spotify. If you do enjoy this podcast, please make sure you are listening from Spotify. That would greatly help us out. But with that said, until the next episode, like they say in Hollywood, that's a wrap.
Cut.